My name's Nathan. I'm 28. And I've always been the kind of guy who tries not to rock the boat. You know the type, reliable, quiet, dependable, the one who remembers birthdays, double-checks hotel reservations for family trips, and somehow ends up handling the logistics when no one else wants to. I'm not the loudest voice in the room. I never needed to be. Or at least, that's what I used to tell myself before last year's birthday made me realize just how invisible I'd become to the very people I kept showing up for. My younger sister Ava turned 25 last September, and my family went all out. I mean, rented rooftop lounge, open bar, firework display, kind of all out. The kind of party that has a hashtag before it even happens. Hashtag Ava turns 25 was on every table card, every custom cupcake topper, even on the DJ's booth. There was a professional photographer taking candid shots of her, posing with champagne flutes and flower walls, while my parents gave heartfelt speeches about how proud they were of their brilliant baby girl chasing her dreams.
And yeah, she's done well, landed a mid-level PR job after college, lives in a trendy apartment downtown, and posts filtered motivational quotes every morning like it's a ritual. She's charming, ambitious, and she knows how to command attention. And maybe part of me didn't mind standing back and letting her have the spotlight. Not really. Not until I saw my own reflection in the edges of her celebration there to help carry the decorations, pour drinks, smile in the background of photos like some glorified extra in the Ava show. Still, I smiled. I handed out party favors. I stayed late to help clean up because that's what I do. Flash forward to March, my birthday. Not a milestone birthday, but still. I turned 28. It landed on a Saturday that year, so I took the weekend off from work, half expecting anyone to bring up plans. Nothing. The day before, my phone buzzed with a group message: Mom, Dad, Ava, and a few aunts and cousins. It said, "Happy birthday, Nathan. We'll celebrate next year, maybe. Things are just crazy right now. Love you." And that was it. No calls, no lunch invite, not even a card. I stared at the message for a long time, waiting for someone to follow up. Maybe, just kidding. Be ready at 6, or something. But nothing came. When I walked into the kitchen, Dad was sitting at the table with a mug of coffee, scrolling through his phone. He looked up at me and said, "Morning, birthday boy," like it was an afterthought. I asked if anyone had actually planned anything, and he chuckled and said, "You've always been the low-maintenance one. You don't need all that fuss like Ava does." Low maintenance. The word clung to me like smoke in my throat, as if being easygoing somehow disqualified me from being celebrated. As if decades of stepping aside and not asking for much meant I deserved nothing. Later that day, Ava dropped by with a single store-bought cupcake in a flimsy plastic container. She was dressed like she was heading to brunch with friends, not like she came to see me. "Mom told me to grab you something sweet," she said, placing the cupcake on the counter like a chore. "Sorry it's not homemade or whatever, but I figured this way you could still make a wish." She smiled like she was doing me a favor. No gift, no card, no "what are you doing tonight?" Just a fleeting visit sandwiched between social plans. And I smiled. I even said thank you because I was tired, and not just physically. Tired in a way that made my chest ache a little. That night, as I sat on the edge of my bed watching Instagram stories of Ava sipping cocktails with her friends, I realized I couldn't keep pretending like it didn't bother me. Like being low maintenance made it okay to be overlooked, forgotten, and sidelined. I wasn't angry, not in the explosive, yelling sense. I just felt hollow, like I'd been running on autopilot for years. And suddenly, someone pulled the plug. So, I opened my laptop, stared at the blinking cursor in my browser, and typed "last-minute trips from NYC." I didn't even know what I was looking for. I just knew I needed to leave. I needed space to breathe away from the complacency I'd let settle in my life like dust. One of the first results was a discounted package deal to Florence, Italy, flight and 3 nights at a boutique hotel near the Arno River. Pricey, but not outrageous. I hesitated, hovered my finger over the mouse. Then I booked it. The flight left Monday morning. I didn't tell anyone, not my parents, not Ava, not even my boss, until I filed for emergency PTO. I just packed a bag, double-checked my passport, and left. And when the plane lifted off the tarmac, I felt something strange. Not guilt, not fear, but freedom. The kind of freedom that wraps around you like a warm wind and whispers, "This is what it feels like to choose yourself." The first night in Florence, I wandered the narrow stone streets, ate gelato under string lights, and watched the sun melt into the river like honey. I snapped a picture of my wineglass catching the golden light with the Ponte Vecchio in the background. Then I opened Instagram, uploaded the photo, and typed out the caption, "Cheers to celebrating myself." I didn't tag anyone, didn't use a hashtag, just hit post. Within an hour, the comments started rolling in: old college friends, coworkers, even distant cousins I hadn't spoken to in months. "Wait, are you in Italy living your best life? This is what you deserve, king." My DMs were lighting up, but what hit harder were the texts, first from a confused Ava, "Are you in Europe?" Then from my mom, "Why didn't you tell us you were leaving?" Then finally from Dad, "Is everything okay?" That was the part that really got me, because now they noticed I was gone. Not when I sat at the dinner table alone on my birthday. Not when I quietly accepted a cupcake like a consolation prize. But now, when my absence left a silence too loud to ignore. And that's when something inside me shifted. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't the one reaching out. I wasn't the one making sure everyone else felt okay. I wasn't smoothing over the awkwardness or explaining away the hurt. I was just gone. And they had to sit in that. But that was only the beginning, because I hadn't even posted the second photo yet. The second photo was a little more deliberate. I took it the next morning at sunrise from Piazzale Michelangelo, the overlook that gives you a panoramic view of Florence glowing in soft pinks and golds. I had woken up before dawn, walked the winding path up the hill, and stood there with a quiet kind of awe as the city came alive beneath me. I didn't smile in the picture. I just let the view speak for itself. Florence stretched behind me, the dome of the Duomo lit by the first rays of sun, my silhouette calm and steady in the foreground. The caption read, "Sometimes disappearing is the only way they'll see you." This time I didn't just get texts. I got calls. Ava rang twice, then 3 times. Then she left a voice message that was all sugar and static. "Hey, so are you okay? We're just surprised, I guess." I mean, Italy alone? That's kind of a big move. Nate. Not Nathan. Only she calls me that when she wants something or when she's trying to sound concerned enough to get information without sounding guilty. I let it go to voicemail. I sat in a quiet cafe, drinking espresso and journaling while the messages kept coming. Mom sent a paragraph that felt like it had been workshopped through guilt and faux concern. "You know we love you, right? I hope you're not doing this to make a point. You've always been so independent. Don't let social media convince you otherwise. Call me when you land somewhere safe." She even added a little praying hands emoji. I didn't answer because the thing is, they weren't worried about me. Not really. They were worried about the optics, about what it meant that I wasn't just sulking at home but out there, visibly, publicly celebrating a life they hadn't bothered to be part of. "Cheers to celebrating myself" had racked up over 400 likes, dozens of comments, and even a repost by one of those travel aesthetic accounts. Suddenly, Nathan quiet, low maintenance Nathan wasn't invisible anymore. By the third day, Ava had escalated. She posted a throwback photo of us as kids on her story. Caption, "Miss this guy crying face," with some curated nostalgia about how family is everything. The same Ava who hadn't remembered to bring me a card, who laughed when Dad called me the quiet one who never complains. Suddenly, I was a memory she wanted to revive for likes. It made me nauseous. Not because it was mean, it wasn't, but because it was manipulative, performative, and if I'd still been home, still been that guy silently taking hits and pretending not to care, I might have fallen for it. Instead, I walked to a quiet piazza, sat on the edge of a fountain, and typed out a response in notes that I never ended up sending. Funny how people start missing you the moment you're no longer convenient. That night, I got a message from Dad. Just a single line, "Are you mad at us?" It caught me off guard. Not because it was tender, it wasn't, but because it was the first time he hadn't hidden behind assumptions. He didn't say, "You're overreacting," or "You know your sister needs more attention." He just asked. And that alone made me pause. Was I mad? Yeah. But it was deeper than that. It was layers of old resentment I hadn't even realized I was carrying. Birthdays that got postponed. Wins that went unnoticed. Times I'd come home from college exhausted, only to be asked to drive Ava to a party or pick up dry cleaning because she was busy. I'd been raised to believe that being quiet was the same as being strong, and that being strong meant never asking for anything back. And here I was, finally asking without even saying a word. On the 5th day, I posted a photo of a handwritten note I'd left under the wine bottle in my hotel room. It said, "Book the next leg. Don't wait up." The caption simply read, "France next." The messages that followed were a mix of admiration and confusion. Coworkers thought I'd taken a sabbatical. College friends said I was living the dream. My cousin texted me, "Bro, are you okay, or are you like spiraling in luxury?" I laughed for the first time in days, but then Mom called again. This time I answered. Her voice was tight, like she was trying not to cry, but couldn't decide if it was from frustration or genuine concern. "Nathan, honey, what's going on? Why didn't you tell us you were planning this?" I was standing outside the Louvre when I answered, and I remember watching a little kid chase pigeons while I said, "Because it wasn't about you. None of you. It was about me finally doing something for me." Silence. "Then, you could have just said something." I smiled, not unkindly. "I did. For years. You just called it being low maintenance." That landed harder than I expected. She sniffled once, twice. "I'm sorry if we made you feel less important. We never meant to. You know how Ava is. She just demands more. You were always so easy." "I know," I said. "That's why it was easy to forget me." And then I ended the call. Not angrily, not dramatically, just decisively, because I didn't need her to defend it. I didn't want her to explain it away. I just wanted her to sit with it. That night, I walked along the Seine, wrapped in a scarf I'd picked up from a street vendor. The city was glowing. I didn't take any pictures. I didn't post a thing, because some moments aren't for Instagram. They're just for you. And back home, that's when the real fallout began. It started subtly, little ripples in the group chat that had been all but dormant since my quiet exit. Ava sent a photo of our parents out to brunch, caption with 3 hearts and the words, "Just missing one." A not-so-subtle dig cloaked in faux affection. I didn't respond. Then she texted me directly, "Come on, Nate. This is getting weird. Just come home and we'll make it up to you. I'll even bake a cake. Swear." I could picture her smirking as she typed it, treating the whole thing like some quirky episode in the sitcom of her life. But what she didn't realize, and what none of them seemed to understand, was that I wasn't angling for an apology or fishing for attention. I wasn't pulling a stunt. I was reclaiming space from being the emotional doormat they'd leaned on without ever checking if I was standing or sinking. By the second week, things escalated. Mom called again, but this time she opened with, "Your aunt said she saw your photo on Facebook. Everyone's talking. They think you won the lottery or something." "Did you?" There was a laugh at the end, tight and anxious. I told her I hadn't, that I just decided to use the money I'd been saving for someday to live a life worth remembering. She was quiet for a second before replying, "Well, I guess that's nice, but you should have told us. We could have helped plan something. You always act like we're the enemy." And there it was, that same deflection, the narrative flipping like it always did. Me setting a boundary and then painting it as an attack. I didn't bite. I just told her I was fine, that I was heading to Amsterdam next, and that I'd call her eventually. What I didn't say was that I'd been keeping a travel journal, not just photos and notes, but pages of things I'd never allowed myself to feel back home. Reflections on memories I'd buried so deep I wasn't even sure they were mine anymore. Like the time I won the regional science fair in 10th grade and came home beaming, trophy in hand, only for Mom to say, "That's great, honey, but did you hear Ava got picked to sing the solo at her recital?" Or the Christmas when my gift was a watch I already owned, rewrapped because we figured you wouldn't mind. I had minded every time, but I had taught myself not to. One night in a quiet hostel in Vienna, I met a guy named Luca from Melbourne. We stayed up talking until 2 a.m., trading stories about families, ambition, burnout. When I told him mine in that raw, unfiltered way that only strangers in foreign cities get to hear, he just said, "Sounds like you've been apologizing for your existence your whole life." That hit me like a freight train. Because he was right. I'd spent so long trying to make myself smaller so others could shine brighter, smiling in the shadows, laughing off slights, nodding through erasures. And now here I was, somewhere between Austria and self-worth, realizing that I didn't want to go back to being the family's invisible backbone, the quiet one, the dependable ghost. Around this time, something unexpected happened. My cousin Tessa, one of the few relatives I'd always liked, sent me a voice note. "Hey," she said, her voice low and hesitant. "Just wanted to say I saw your post from Prague. It looks like you're doing amazing, and I hope this doesn't sound weird, but I kind of envy you. You finally got out, took a breath. I think I've been wanting to do that for years, but I never had the guts." That message stayed with me not because it validated what I was doing, but because it reminded me that not everyone back home saw me the way my parents and Ava did. Some had noticed the way I disappeared at family dinners. The way my voice rarely rose above a murmur. The way I'd fade out of photos like a shadow with a name. I replied to her. We started exchanging travel tips, stories, and slowly it became clear there were more people in my life who understood than I'd let myself believe. But back at home, things were unraveling. Ava had her birthday again. This time it was smaller, quieter. I've been sitting on this for a few days, trying to decide if I'm just being dramatic or if I've been letting too much slide for too long. So, I, 30F, have been happily married for a few years now. My husband, 31M, is honestly a gem, kind, patient, hilarious, loyal. Basically everything you'd want. Which, after having an ex cheat on me with his best friend, is kind of a big deal. That relationship wrecked me for a while, but I worked hard not to drag the wreckage into something new. And my husband? And thankfully, my husband's never given me a single reason to question him. Until now? Maybe? I do not know. My husband and I have a great relationship, and we're pretty social and often hang out with each other's friends. I get along with almost all of his group, and they've honestly made me feel welcome, except for her. His childhood best friend. Let's call her Claire. Claire has always been cold to me. Not outright rude, just subtle enough to make me feel crazy for noticing. You know that kind of vibe? Every time we've been in the same room, she's managed to talk around me, not to me. I tried. I really did. I've smiled. Made conversation. Been nothing but warm, even when she's given me nothing to work with. She doesn't show up to group hangouts. But she'll invite him over. And he always tells me, to his credit. He never goes without mentioning it, and he's never weird or secretive about her. But it still rubs me the wrong way. I've tried being friendly, I've tried small talk, hell. I invited her to our birthdays, barbecues, engagement dinner, she bailed on all. She skipped our wedding too. And she only ever seems to reach out to him, usually when she's just been dumped and needs to talk. When I've brought it up, my husband says I'm overthinking it. That Claire is just a little odd socially. Maybe she is. Then, a few weeks ago, out of nowhere, she messaged me. She asked if I'd model for her project. Totally unexpected. And I was caught off guard enough to say yes. Part of me thought, maybe this is her trying to connect. Maybe this was her olive branch. I even felt a little hopeful. God, I was naive. So I agreed. My husband offered to come with me since he hadn't seen her in a while and thought it'd be fun to catch up after. When we got there, her family was also involved. And from the second I walked in, it was like stepping into some passive-aggressive Twilight Zone. Her mom and sister kept calling my husband our son-in-law. I laugh, awkwardly. Think I must have misheard. It only got worse. During the shoot, came more of the snarky comments. Jokes about the one that got away and some bonds never fade. Her mom, at one point, literally said, "We always thought Claire would end up with him." But life has its detours, I guess. Claire always imagined walking down the aisle with him. And then, it's sweet of her to fill in, though. Oh, come on. I wish I was exaggerating. And Claire? Just kept snapping pictures. Smiling. Saying nothing. No hey, cut it out, no awkward laugh, no redirect. Nothing. My husband? Clearly uncomfortable. I watched him fidget through the whole thing, clear his throat a few times. He tried to change the subject or came nearby me during the shooting. He didn't say much either. Just went kind of quiet. I stuck it out for an hour. Let her take her photos. Smiled, posed, whatever. But the whole time I felt like I was part of a social experiment, and everyone else was in on the joke but me. When we got in the car, he was silent for a while. Then finally said, "Sorry about all." That was weird, right? And honestly, I didn't even know what to say. Because yeah, it was weird. It was borderline disrespectful. And the fact that he was there, saw all of it, clearly felt it too, and still didn't step in or pull the plug? It makes me feel kind of alone in this. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending this woman is harmless or just awkward. She knows exactly what she's doing. Two don't want to start a huge fight. But I'm at the point where I don't want her in our lives. Not as a friend. Not as a ghost in the corner of our marriage. No more bending over backwards to be the cool wife. I'm not interested in earning points with someone who clearly doesn't want me around. Anyway. Thanks for letting me scream into the void for a minute. I really needed to get this out.